Hey, TreCru, HappiDaze here. In today's video, we are doing Grand Party Days 1 and Day 2, getting right into the first match of the day. For the first day, we really are going to focus on matches that are focused against captains like Kaido, for example, who get damaged by taking damage. If we can get a Kizaru too, that'd be great. I'd love to try them out as well and see how going against a burst captain that takes their burst gauge by giving damage does, because I think that would be a little bit better than one who gets their burst gauge charged by taking damage. But it is what it is. So going for this first match here, really this is going to be the kind of OP team that we're using here. Very similar to the team if you saw Stump's video of kind of what he thought was one of the best teams out there. This is kind of that. I don't have the Sai Jinbei, so I replaced him with Kuzan on the bench. But basically, once this team goes, like, it's just such a crazy team with the output of the Luffy and Bonney, with the Sabo and Koala, with the Kuma just doing the hit and then hasting them. It just works out so well. And Caesar doing the debuffs, and Lilith and Usopp getting rid of specials. It's tough to beat this team, man. It really is. And that's why this team is going to be so nasty to deal with going forward. So for our burst gauge, for our point of view, we gain our burst gauge by doing hits, so really easy to have the burst gauge charge for these fights. I did swap teams here just because it's a little bit better, keeping that kind of OP team, probably the number 2, number 3 team in the meta, in that third spot, just in case. Typically, I like to use battle number 2 as a battle that I kind of absorb specials on. So you'll see in a lot of these videos that I'm doing, I'll actually skip the battle 2 just because I'm just using it to basically eat up the burst gauge charges from the boss. As you can see, that's exactly what I did. I didn't think this team would be able to actually beat that team that was out there. This team was just kind of want to kind of put together based on the rule set, right? There's a lot of Sai Straw Hats on there, a lot of the classes that are buffed from the captain ability, so it seemed like a very smart idea to do that. And yeah, they were able to kind of plow through that content much more than I thought they were. For Battle 2 here, we are taking on Mars. I just wanted to see how a team went against an Elder team. Obviously, with a Mars captain, I expected one of these teams to be a 5 Elders team. But coming into the battle, at least in the first battle, yeah, you had Jupiter here, but it wasn't, you know, those 5 world government characters that we needed to kind of get the really nasty attack buffs that are there. So unfortunately, that didn't work out for us. But it does mean that when Luffy goes, he's going to end up basically forcing out Jupiter, and it'll kind of work out really again. Again, this is kind of your bulky dex team that you deal with. But because there's just so much damage and output that we're doing, like, it's really not even fair what we're doing here. So I do have a level 150 Luffy, so just keep that in mind. If you see the damage here might not be as much as the damage 2 output, that is why. Their special does a delay, does a hit through defense. It's just sick how much damage the special does. And I think going forward, you know, you can actually see this guy as a usable burst captain option even outside of this Grand Party when his rule set isn't fully boosted yet. So again, going into fight number 2, I knew it was their strength team. This team obviously isn't really great against strength. They're much better against shooters. But basically, as long as Boa or Luffy can go, like, it's game over. Pika's here really for just the increased defense that's there. And again, the special from Mars there is just a pain to deal with. So I'm hoping that we can kind of kill them before we have to deal with that. So that's what we're doing here. Because this team is really a glass cannon team, just because strength doesn't have a ton of defense, if you use a burst special, 9 out of 10 times it will absolutely destroy them. If you had, for example, the Int Gear 5 Luffy special, most of the time I can knock out that whole front line with just the special. So again, you can see once Boa goes, absolutely just destroys. They were able to get their special off at the end anyway, just because they had 1 unit left, but just skipping here to wrap up the match. So that gets us through match number 2. I was hoping there'd be a 5 Elders team on here. Unfortunately, that just didn't manifest there. So it kind of is what it is in that regard. So going into the third battle here, so again, we're focusing this day more on the Kaido team. So we're going to go ahead and choose that Kaido at the top. The day 2 matches are going to be focused around Luffy and Bonney. So I believe all 3 fights that we do on day 2 are against Luffy and Bonney. So we can actually, like, test them out. What it's actually like facing Luffy Bonney when you have to kind of go against them yourselves, and that obviously means that you have to face teams that they are on as well. So that being said, going against Kaido again, we're not kind of too worried here. Now they do have the Yamacho who can do the revive damage, which is a pain to deal with. Luckily they don't have the Inter Roger pirates there to just do that additional debuff, so that's the kind of the good news for our side. They do have S-Hawk. He can do a lot of damage to defense. Obviously, the Boa sisters can do, or Boa unit, or Waifu unit there can do a bunch of just nasty stuff with their confusion, things like that. But boom, once Boa and Luffy go, it's pretty much GG's at that point. So nothing they can really do here to stop us. Again, because we do so much damage, it charges that burst gauge so quick. So we are going to take a burst gauge right here from Kaido. Actually does do a fairly good chunk of damage, takes out S-Snake there on the front line. But again, the only downside here is we actually got our Luffy forced out, which is obviously the main damage dealer that we would have had. So we kind of have to wait a little bit. But because we only have to do 18 hits, we're able to get our special charge really quick, execute it. But the downside to that is that when we use our special, that will obviously do a burst gauge charge on their special as well. So that's what we have to watch out for when you're kind of fighting these burst captains that get their special gauge charge by doing damage. You can see at this point there's really nothing we can do to win this second battle, or at least that's what I thought, which is why I skipped. At that point I thought we were done. But somehow we were able to actually eke out the win there, which was just kind of perfect there to get that first dub. They're going to use their burst gauge right away on the second match because the computer thinks they're going to lose if they don't. So we'll talk about it tomorrow, but one of the benefits of Luffy and Bonney is, of course, if they use their special at the beginning of the fight, it actually isn't really as great. Whereas if you take a hit at the beginning, like we saw with the burst captain there, then it's obviously could swing the battle there one way or the other. So that is the day one wrap up. Again, for this Grand Party season, you only have to win 10 times. It's awesome. I love it. I wish I was like that all the time, to be honest. Even 12, I would be happy with 12 to get the full reward set. But again, you have unlimited refreshes, unlimited retries. So don't be afraid this season to kind of experiment with different teams. So that's my day one thoughts of using Luffy and Bonney. Fantastic unit so far in PvP. Really happy with what they can do. And just puts in a good spot for day number 2. So let's get into those matches right now. Alright, so we're now back with the day 2 battles. Again, we're facing just Luffy and Bonnie's as the Bears captains say that we're going against. So let's see how this works. So obviously going against a Luffy Bonney team is going to be tough this season. So I was kind of anticipating that this first match I definitely lose. So that was kind of why I was going to have this team go first and really rely on the second and third matches to get the victory. Hoping that I can at least get 1 or 2 bursts kind of triggered off of here. Knowing that worst case, if we didn't in the second fight, when the Luffy and Bonney special went off, it would just do some special rewind and some damage. But the special rewind at the start of the battle doesn't really affect us much because no one has any special CT charge anyway. So that's kind of the game plan here. We're going to take a nasty shot from the Luffy Bonney right here. It actually didn't do as much damage as I thought, but like I said, I'm just going to skip this. There's no way that we're going to win this. Somehow we were able to still keep 3 guys alive, but it wasn't enough for us to secure the dub. So again, that puts us in a not great spot for battle number 2 and battle number 3, but hey, it is kind of what it is, right? So again, going against this team, I had no worries that my team would be able to wipe the floor with them. I didn't use a Luffy Bonney special on the first fight because I made sure that we had a bunch for the second and third fights. Knowing that I could basically use one on this fight when people get close to getting launched. It'll rewind their specials, and we'll be in a really good spot to kind of defeat them pretty easily. We'll take some of their bursts ourselves. Luckily, Pika came, gives great shield to everyone on the team. Blackbirds can come in, do some debuffs to them, and really once the Boa and the Luffy go, like it's game over at that point. So you can see Luffy just absolutely menacing everyone on the board there. Hopefully we can get them to use their burst at this point, because that would mean that would put us in a really good position, but you can't always force out that burst. So that is kind of the downside there. That means they're going to use their burst kind of right away on the third match here, which obviously isn't ideal for us. But again, because of the special rewind that happens, no one has a special charge. I'd say normally no one has their special charge, right? In this case, we have Caesar who gets their special charge 100% right away, and Kuma at 50% right away, right? So that's kind of the downside there, is that we are going to end up losing that, but still having a 70% Caesar and probably like a 25% on Kuma isn't the end of the world, right? Caesar was still ready to go and still get his special off really quickly, right? And at that point now, we can just wait till they get ready to use their specials, use ours, and just make sure that we can at least go first. Again, once Kuma, Luffy, and Sabo Koala go, that should be more enough to kind of take this battle without us having to kind of go too crazy. Luffy, again, just comes in, hit like a tank. We do have to deal with the revive, which is an annoying aspect, of course, of that Luffy unit. But hey, it is what it is. Sometimes you have to deal with that. Now, the Otama here is a pain to deal with because she can do some healing. We do have some healing on our team, thanks to the ability of the Kuma, where if he has a provoke and he gets hit, it gives HP to the whole team, which is great. But yeah, it just means that this fight's just going to be prolonged a little bit, probably more than we really want it to go. But again, once Luffy goes again, or Kuma goes again, like, it's game over. Or we can just use a special. That will that will help end it much quicker as well. But yeah, like I said, Luffy, unfortunately for us there, the units were kind of separated, so it really didn't do as much damage as it probably could have done. So we're just going to skip there, obviously, just so we can kind of get to that match. No point wasting some time there. And you can see, boom, first fight of the day, we were able to secure the win. So that's kind of the strategy that I like to use, is really just, you know, try to have that middle team take a lot of the bait, go after, you know, the first and third fights and try to win that as much as you can. Now, they didn't have kind of a fully maxed out Luffy team. So in that case, I was like, oh, with Caesar doing the special cooldown reduction, and everything else, I should hopefully be able to get our guys to go first. And of course, we have you know, Will Usopp on there to help give some special rewind. They do have Yamato, which obviously is a pain to deal with their death hit. Obviously, the side Jinbei there is good for doing a bunch of damage. Sabo goes really quick as well too. So obviously there is some worry here, especially because we didn't know what was going to happen. But again, this is the second day, unlimited retry, so we're completely fine. We kind of just been experimenting and see how things go from that point of view. So Kuma's going to end up going, or not going, because he always seems to let Luffy go first. So we're going to let Luffy go, then we're going to let Kuma go. Now this team just has insane defense. Like, did you see this? There is hardly any damage to them, and they're getting healed too with the Kuma as well, right? So obviously that's not a good sign. So I'm like, all right, we need to use our special here once, so we can stop them from going real quick, do some fixed damage, and hope to get Luffy and Bonney to go and just take out a couple. We got super lucky there, took out Luffy and a couple other units. We ended up skipping because I was like, oh, we won this match. Yeah, that was a mistake. If I would have waited and used the burst, 100% we would have won this match, and we wouldn't have to worry about having to win the second and third match. But I got cocky, right? And that's the danger that you have to watch out for, especially on the last couple of days. If you get too cocky, you think, oh, I got this out of hand, no worries. You just skip, and suddenly you find yourself lost when you had a special burst that could have saved you, right? So, lesson learned for future GPs and future fights. So this becomes a must-win situation. Now, obviously, we know this team in the second position was Shooter. This is kind of the anti-Shooter team, so we knew we have to worry about them getting their specials off quick. And once Boa or Luffy go, they'll pretty much wipe out the whole line of Shooter units that are out there. So we do take the shot here. So unfortunately, our Boa and Luffy and everyone got their special round, which is just a pain to deal with. And what typically happens is when Pika gets in a case where he can't do damage, it just makes it so much harder, right? That shield that Pika gives is a huge boost for us. But lucky for us, we were able to get Boa to go. We are going to take the death hit there from Mars, but still we were able to basically eke out the win pretty easily there, and go into the third match where we know we have our side team. In this case, it was just Sai versus Dex. Not worried about this team at all, really, as long as we can kick out the Kaido and the Ace there. That's really the big threats there. Obviously, Pizarro on the back can do some debuffs there, but otherwise, I'm not really too worried. Again, yeah, we take the death hit, not the death hit, but the damage to defense up front. But that special rewind does nothing for us because none of our specials are charged, right? So that basically means we have a free special reverse on them to make sure that all our guys will be able to go at the time being, right? And because it boosts all those characters, you can see everyone was ready at that point. Boom, Luffy hits a ton, takes out Ace there, which is huge. Garp comes out, takes out a bunch of other guys, and at that point, it's really up for Nami and Law and Akainu to just wrap it up, and there shouldn't be any problems there. So again, the biggest takeaway from this fight was really you want to make sure that when you're doing your skips, you feel pretty confident that you can win, because you can pretty easily get in some situations where that isn't the case and where that doesn't happen. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, at this point, one more hit should do it, wrap it up, give us that win. Love to see that. And get us one step closer to getting the full max rewards. We have one more battle left on the day. Again, we're going to fight another Luffy Bonney captain. So let's just see what the teams look like here when we go onto the screen. So we know we have a strength up front, then we have a shooter, and then we have the Luffy and Bonney team at the back there. So obviously, for my strategy here, I don't want to have to go to this third fight, just because it just is going to be a pain to deal with. So how I'm kind of getting around that is I want to try to use the side team up front. Get the win for the first fight, obviously then with the shooter team that we have there to help take out shooters, win that second fight, and then not even go to the third fight. But worst case, if we have to, you know, we'll have our own Luffy and Bonney team at the back with hopefully a special or two that we can use for that final fight, and hopefully they will have no specials going there. So again, the downside to the Strength team is that while they can hit really hard, if you can kind of hit them with any kind of big burst of damage, most of the time they fold pretty quickly. So here, basically, we knew, okay, we got our burst gauge ready. We'll use it. It'll boost everyone to go up to the front of the line. And at that point, because we reverse their specials, there's really nothing they can do, right? It's going to pretty much just absolutely decimate their front lines. And there's going to be nothing they can really do to kind of do that. So this went exactly according to plan. Obviously, I would love for them to bait out the burst like they just did here. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. But again, that just basically means that they're gonna try to use both bursts in fight number 2. So worst case, if for some reason I can't defeat these guys, you know, we'll at least have a 1 burst advantage going into that final match, which is huge for a bunch of these cases. So that's kind of the game plan here. You can see our burst gauge is already pretty much to the front again. 1 hit should probably trigger it enough for us to get to where we need to be. Again, this team just absolutely mauls through shooters. And again, because we have the special reverse, we can use that as well. There's a bit of a pain to use it there, but we can kind of use it right back just to make sure our guys can go first. Because of the debuff that Snake provides to shooters, there's almost no chance that we're not going to be able to go before they go, or we'll give them confusion like you saw there, and they won't be able to really be able to do too much. Now, Mars did hit us there, which was kind of unfortunate from our side. Blackbird's going to come in, give a little special rewind, which you like to see. They're going to take a little bit of a shot here. Unfortunately, our Boa dies. That's the downside, is that you want to be able to have Boa or Luffy hit, and if they don't, then it really kind of nerfs your total output here. But it doesn't matter. Warcurry's going to go, do a bunch of hits there. And now, once Luffy goes, he will end it out. Actually, that worked out really perfect, because all those fighters came onto the screen. And that means that when Luffy goes, and of course he doesn't go, because why would he, right? At the top of the order, and then Luffy just absolutely disappears. So that's the unfortunate side for us. We're probably going to end up having to use a special to beat him. But in this case, I was like, I'm just going to skip it, because I didn't even want to have to deal with it, to be honest, right? They used all their bursts, so from our perspective, it didn't matter. We were going to go to that final fight with a 1 burst advantage, but again, sometimes the RNG guards just work out. In the first fights that we did, it didn't work out for us as we thought, but sometimes it does work out. So that is going to wrap up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you love this season of Grand Party. I love this format personally. Love the rewards. Love that you only need 10 wins to get the max rewards and titles for the season. So we'll see. The next couple days we might do some different variations of the team. Maybe we'll try out different burst captains, right? Whether we do Saturn or whether we do Kuma, but we'll see. But let me know what your thoughts are of this Grand Party season. Hopefully your Grand Party is going pretty well. Again, once we get probably to the end of tomorrow, I'd recommend changing your captains to non-burst captains just to help everyone get the rewards as quick as they can and get out of there. So make sure you do that. Use the community strat, help everyone get to the max wins there for the season. So as always, thank you guys. Until next time, be kind to each other. Thanks.